Hi there, so what I'm going to look at today is why customers leave and what we can do about that. And this is sort of based around a survey done by a company called McGraw-Hill in the States. And when they looked at the reasons people left large companies and different types of companies, they found these figures that 4% die or move away, and there's very little we can do about that, of course. 5% move on the recommendations of friends or colleagues, beg your pardon, and 9% because they were tempted by a very good competitor's offer. 15% dissatisfied with their service, but a massive 67% because of lack of contact, because they felt that they weren't being taken seriously and weren't appreciated by this particular company. Now, thinking about it, there are a lot of things we can do knowing these figures. As we mentioned, for the first category, very little we can do. But a friend's recommendation, it's difficult really, because if a friend recommends something, you almost think, well, I have to try this out, particularly if it's a close friend or family member, and there's a kind of emotional link there to the new company. But in time, in a little while, when they don't see maybe the company working out as well for them, it is worth keeping in contact with them and running them in what we'd call a customer reactivation program. That is selling to them again, with the huge advantage, of course, that you've already sold to them once, and that they have at one point got over that trust barrier to buy from you, and therefore should be a lot easier the second time round. A competitor's offer, similarly, if a competitor is putting out a very, very competitive offer, something you can't compete with at that stage, that's fine. But as time passes, that may not be a long-term offer. It may be that the competitor doesn't maintain the level of service they've promised, etc. So once again, these are customers who at one stage already purchased from you, so will be an easier sell the second time, and they again should be part of what we'd call a reactivation strategy. That is communicating with them, keeping in contact with them, and getting them to purchase or moving back to you. The 50% dissatisfied. Now, if somebody leaves because they don't feel your service was up to scratch, the first thing I think is more important to do is to say, sorry, we apologise, and accept that from their perspective, this wasn't up to scratch. And it's surprising how often something like that can actually rescue a situation by saying that we're aware there was a problem and we're aware that this hasn't, it's below our usual standard. That can usually bring customers back. Even if it doesn't, you need to learn from it. So contacting those customers and saying, so we're sorry that you left, could you give us the reason so that we can improve our product or service in the future. And once again, when time has elapsed, they again could be part of a customer reactivation strategy. And no point hiding it, just saying, well, our service, our offering is improved and we'd like you to try it out again. So all these things could bring in customers that, because they already have been customers with you, should be easier to bring back into the fold. The last one, of course, the 67% because of no contact, is almost unforgivable. You think about all the customers you have at the moment. We talk so often, people talk about valued customers, yet do nothing to maintain contact with them. The number of times you have for a subscription service, the first time you hear from them again is when it is time for renewal. Insurance companies are quite poor at this, and they wonder why their turnover rate of customers is so high. Sending things out to your current customers is as important really as trying to get new customers. On top of just holding on to them, which is maybe the first and the primary purpose of maintaining contact, the second thing is they're a huge resource of upselling, selling premium items, what's called cross-selling, or selling them associated items, or getting referrals for them to refer you on to other customers. And all this is only possible if you're maintaining contact with them, if you're maintaining that idea that the benefits you're providing, and reminding them of that, and also giving them the odd freebie, the odd discount on new items, etc. Current customers are much more likely to purchase a new item from you than trying to get that from a new customer. So it's important, as we often refer to them as the gold mine within your business. They certainly are. And even at the lowest level, what you should be doing is holding on to them and keeping a contact with them, so that they're not seen, or they don't feel as if there was a lack of contact and they're not appreciated. Another point to look at there is, of course, these figures, we've assumed they're quite similar in each business, but I think it's important for everybody's business that they're aware of these. How many of their customers leave? What is the attrition rate? How do we get that as low as possible? But of those that do leave, of those that don't purchase again, which one of these categories do they fall into, or is another category? And then put a strategy into place to overcome this. I mean, the best example, of course, if you had a high percentage saying they were dissatisfied, then you obviously need to look at your service and your offering. If it's a matter of competitors' offers, then you need to look at whether your offering is competitive enough. And it's not necessarily, it doesn't always have to be about price. It's what benefits you give. How do you give more benefit than your closest competitor? And similarly, as we said, is it friends' recommendation? Therefore, why aren't they recommending you to these friends? There's a company out there that is referring or getting referrals from their current customers, because that's how they took your customer away. So what are they doing? How do we then run a similar scheme to get them to be referring you rather than the other way around? So putting all this together, it comes back to one simple idea that runs through virtually everything in business development. That is, number one, knowing your numbers, knowing what are the percentages, what are the actual numbers of customers that you lose, and how many of them, what are the reasons. And once you know that number, you can then rationally start considering what scheme do you put in place, what plan do you put in place to overcome this, to reduce those numbers. So that's it, very quick. Any information you want, there's a link below this video. Any discussion about any aspect of business development. I look forward to speaking to you soon.